Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to the ECM podcast. I'm Caroline Fontagneux, and I'm very happy to host this series that will take you behind the scenes of new music on ECM Records. In this new episode, I'm meeting with Lucian and Maneri on the loud streets of Brooklyn to discuss their fascinating process around their new album on ECM Records, Transylvanian Dance. We talked about Béla Bartók, his incredible passion for folk music, and the beauty of transmission. Let's place things back on the map. Transylvania is a region in central Romania, where you're from, Lucian.
Yes.
Did you grow up listening to traditional music?
Yes, not all around me, but it was present in my grandparents' village where I grew up. I grew up till I was 7 on my mom's side in a small village not far from where Bartók collected 100 years ago songs, and then I kept going back there all the way till I was 18 in vacations, school vacations. I kept going there, and the music was the folk music as changed as it was, because it wasn't like in Bartók's time.
Yeah.
It was present all around.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have specific memories of those songs, but it's just part of the culture that you grew up in.
I do have of some, because I used to go around Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go singing carols and making little money and sweets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember doing that. So they were, like you mentioned, around, and I could see them at festivities, weddings and stuff. But I also sang them, mm-hmm. On a few occasions during the year.
Yeah. First of all, what's your relationship to Romanian culture, Matt?
Well, honestly, before Lucian, I knew very little about it. Mm-hmm. I knew about the change of government, when all that was changing, but the music, other than knowing a little bit about UNESCO, I didn't know much, honestly. So once I started playing with Lucian and going there, it was like a whole kind of interesting thing just to hear. We were on tour going through little villages, and then we played, remember, opposite these folk guys doing things like that. And then one of the promoters took us out to dinner, and they're singing folk tunes at the dinner table. And all of a sudden it opened up a whole kind of a new world for me, that was also familiar in a weird way, because my father, who was born in New York but came from immigrant parents, and then was playing music as a kid, mm-hmm. was playing different weddings of all the different cultures that were living in New York and Brooklyn at the time. So he played doinas and then Sephardic music, and so there was a real connection there already. But honestly, before I met Lucian, I didn't really know that much.
Explain to me the project and how you started connecting with the relationship between Bartók and this music, and this very project.
Yes. So I knew that Bartók collected in Transylvania growing up in school and stuff, but I did not know anything beyond this. Mm-hmm. It wasn't something studied in school, even though I went to music school and stuff like that. But I knew it existed. And fast forward 25 years, and you might know that each year the European Community awards a title to 2 or 3 cities throughout Europe of a European Capital of Culture. So 2018 they awarded this to Timișoara, which is a city in western Transylvania, which is like 20 miles from where Bartók was born. Mm-hmm. Which is, now it's in Romania, San Nicolau Mare, but it used to be in the Austria back in the day. These people that I worked with, Jazz Updates, that they organize concerts when I get there on tours, called me and said, listen, as you know, there's the European Capital of Culture going on, and there's this big Bartók collection of folk music from the area. Would you be interested to do something with it? The big thing with the European Capital of Culture is that there's funding in place to do it through several years, like 3 years up, leading to the year of when the city is celebrating.
Officially,
yes. So that award awards you the possibility to to develop a bigger project than just a concert or something. So I looked into it, and I realized it's something extraordinary there, because I realized Bartók's passion and amount of work in Transylvania, it's unparalleled. I mean, he collected, even today, what is called the biggest collection of folk songs in Transylvania done by a single person. We're talking 3,600 songs recorded and transcribed and annotated and all of it. 3,600. Even the idea, just to realize that you can go back and hear, you know, young girls and boys or not, or older people singing from 1910 to 1917, it's something fabulous. So when I discovered what an extraordinary thing is there and what, like, it's a treasure, I said yes immediately.
Yeah.
And I talked to Matt immediately, and I said to them, to the people in Timișoara, I want Matt and I to co-curate with you guys. And the first person that we had in mind was an ECM artist that we wanted to play, and that was John Sermon.
Yeah.
Because of his connection to reimagining folk music from England, because of his singular voice of making this work. So then we did that, and we went and stayed in a residency, and we just workshopped the songs. And maybe you can say how we picked the songs. And
yeah, I mean,
because it wasn't easy out of 3,600.
It wasn't easy, 3,600 pieces of music. So, like, what do you do?
Sorry to interrupt, but you had access to what, Bartók's actual notes and notebooks and recordings?
Well, immediately we were in touch through the Capital of Culture to Bartók Archives in Budapest. And these are the foremost experts, and they all of the recordings are digitized. His transcriptions are digitized as well.
It's amazing.
And we had access to them, you know.
But to explain for our listeners, it's also like we need to talk about the way he recorded those things. Too,
yes, and I can send you, if it helps,
crazy.
I can send you a recording of 20 seconds of one of the songs we do, because it's fantastic. I mean, you hear all the hiss. They were recorded on Edison wax cylinder, and each cylinder could keep 2 songs of like 20 seconds. The quality is not great.
It's amazing.
But you hear the inflection and the humanity of how they were doing it. It's
because the peasant didn't want to record for him. You have to realize these were peasants. Bartók had to give them brandy and stuff, and had to get the priest from the city who told the people, yes, do this. They never saw a recording device. They thought it's devil. This is before Alan Lomax, before...
Obviously, it's just like stealing the soul, stealing
yes,
the...
so in letters, because I got to read the letters, so Bartók says how he had, in each town, he had to connect with the priest or the local teacher. Actually, one of the essential characters in the whole story, his name is Ioan Bușiția, is the local teacher in Beiuș, which is a bigger village in Apuseni Mountains. He dedicates Transylvanian folk dances, Romanian folk dances to him, because he helped him throughout all of the trips. He was making the connection, putting him in touch, stay with this priest, stay with this local teacher. And he had to actually, this is fabulous, I don't know if I ever mentioned to you, in the documentation that he had to submit to Hungarian Academy and Romanian Academy how he spent the money. You can see I bought half a liter of brandy to give the peasant to sing, and this cost this.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like a detail I never mentioned. So he actually, because he had to account for the money they
it's
got.
also a testament to how committed he was to the project. Like, he would not let go until he would get the approval and the recordings. Yes. It's beautiful to just like be a witness of this passion too. Like he could easily let go and just give up. Be like, okay, it's too complicated. I'm just gonna.
He called it.
You know.
Immediately, he once he started going, and he collected in Transylvania between 1909 and 1917 through the war and through another pandemic.
Wow.
And let me give you just some numbers. He collected in Transylvania 3,600, a little more actually, 3,640. He collected in Hungary 2,700. He collected in Slovakia 2,200, and then a couple hundred in Ukraine, North Africa, and Turkey. So the biggest collection, it's the one of Romanian peasants in Transylvania, even though he's a Hungarian national. Yeah. And he called the completion of this work, the annotation, his life work. He worked on it all the way to his last months of life in New York, 1945. The only trunk of notebooks that he brought when he flew in 1940 were the Romanian notebooks. And they are now, I think, still at the Columbia Library. Yeah. So his dedication, he learned Romanian. His first wife, who helped him in collecting, in recording, learned Romanian. They changed the letters on the typewriter. I've never seen something like this, because, you know, I went into it and suddenly once we listen to songs and stuff, I'm seeing letters and, you know, writings, and there's all kinds, and Bartók Archives did a lot of research and they published a lot of papers, and I read through a lot of them. Yeah. And he probably passed through the village. There's a song on the first album that, and I dedicated to my father, that was recorded like 10 miles near the village I grew. So it's a personal thing for me.
Yeah, of course.
You know.
Back to the process, you had 3,600-ish
yes.
songs to go through, and you went through it.
No.
It's impossible. And
well,
you
so
know,
what? Did you randomly?
We literally randomly. Here's a stack for you. Here's a stack for me.
So I had a PDF of the books because they are out of print. They were published post after Bartók died. He didn't manage to publish all of them. So they were published in 1965 by his estate yeah. Benjamin Sukov in The Hague, in Netherlands. 5 volumes of 600 pages called Romanian folk music. It's a monumental thing. And they were structured instrumental music, Christmas carols, songs from Aramureș, which is a county in the north. And so I would print like 40, 50 songs from random volumes.
And go through them.
And then we would go through them and do it. First, go ahead from here.
Well, yeah, first we divvy it up, and then I'd pick, I don't know, like, I'd go through as many as I could. Okay, sometimes you get, like, there's very similar, like, from one village to another, it'll be, like, almost the exact same thing. So there's a lot of duplicate, but not quite, little differences. But you start just kind of feeling your way through, and then something speaks to you. Yeah. That's really what happens. Yeah. This melody just strikes me. Okay, so put this aside, or we could do something with this one. And then we'd get together and then rework them together as well. So I'd come up with an idea, Lucian would come up with an idea.
What was really interesting, I remember this, and I still have, because we were recording, I would put my phone at Matt's place in Brooklyn on the upright. What's very interesting is that some of the songs, as you hear them on Transylvanian Dance, we were reading the score, Bartók's score, which is a very simple score. Yeah. It's one staff, and he would play the melody, or I would play the melody, and almost immediately we would do things with it. So some of the ideas, the compositional ideas, yes, are there from the first recording, like the first moment we read, like Poor is My Heart, right. Or I remember I have the recordings of Make Me Lord Slim and Tall. Right. I have the recordings on my iPhone, and they're almost the same like on the album.
The wonderful thing is the great foresight Bartók had, because folk music does change. Yeah. It's passed on orally, it's not written down. So he decided to really capture a moment in time, you know, probably foreseeing that this will be lost. In a way, it transmutes, it becomes something different, but to really have this photograph of this music in this particular moment, and really one of the great fathers of ethnomusicology.
Well, he's one of the founders.
Founders, basically.
Yeah. He's one of
such a great treasure. So for people like us, we could use these echoes from the past to inform us and create a new echo for the future.
Yeah. So, there's something about history repeating in a way that just like folk music doesn't always have to be something from the past. It's also like renewing something that has always been existing and will always exist. and just like the blues and like any part of the world really.
Yeah.
There's blues in those doinas, and there's blues,
yeah.
and we bring some stuff that is blues. I remember on the same Make Me Lord Slimento,
Yeah.
I played some blues licks, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
You know, and Matt plays them, but also because you mentioned, and this is really on point. You mentioned like the relation between folk music and jazz or improvised. It's actually, as opposed to classical music or rock music, jazz, it's still the most connected to the folk approach. It's still a communal music, or it was till not long ago. There's still a communal sense even today. When we meet and improvise and we play, you don't have that often in like contemporary classical or and it's almost like what you can call it like a sort of a cultural anthropology, or like and I think for this reason, the fact that the duo comes out on ECM, I think it feels very right, because ECM constantly did this through the years,
Right.
with a lot of artists, like getting music from throughout the world and getting amazing improvisers and doing it in this new language. I see ourselves in the lineage, of these great musicians that are in the ECM label, like Egberto Gismonti. Not that I'm comparing myself to them, but I see ourselves like following on the footsteps of some of these people, or John Sermon, or even Garbarek, or some other people that investigated folk music throughout the world.
Both of your relationship with ECM is very special. Can you tell me a little bit about both your relationship with the label and with Manfred Eichler? And also I want to say a few words about Steve Lake, who did like an amazing job at with this project.
So my relationship goes pretty far back into the early 90s, and coincidentally produced by Steve Lake, who's become a really good friend over these many, many years. They kind of put a project for us together, my father and myself, and then mixed us with another guy that they were interested in, Joe Morris, and we did this trio. And kind of just came out of the blue. I kind of figured that Paul Bley might have had something to do with it, because Paul Bley liked my father and I as a duet and invited us to play in Montreal with him. So it started out with Steve Lake producing, and we did quite a few records and developed this relationship over the years. And I always wondered, like, because we were pretty free, pretty out, and I'm like, they really want this? I was always nervous about it, but it was amazing. And then when Lucian and I did this duet thing, without even thinking about it, it's like, why don't we send them a tape of this concert and see what they say? And Guido loved it, and then started playing it in the office.
And then
Manfred loved it, and then all of a sudden Steve Lake's checking it out, and the enthusiasm just in the office there in Munich, they all got into it, and then called. It's like, yeah, we want to, and so it was such an enthusiastic thing, and that was the start of our Lucian and I, my relationship in this kind of configuration.
So Matt and I chose an order, but we also said, listen, guys, we want you, Manfred, and to tell us what order you want. Then we made a bet. I won it. No, and then I lost it again.
No, you lost it.
And then I lost it. So I said, if they pick the order I said, I'm getting a bottle of wine. If not, you're getting me a bottle of wine. So I won the first time, and then I think Manfred changed it into his. So you see, there's what I admire always about ECM is this. It's this sense of vast view that they have. They don't look at this music as
it's open.
Having to be jazz in that way.
As
great as jazz is,
it's all about the music.
yeah, or classical contemporary or fusion in the modern sense of the word.
So my experience over the years, from starting to play very free, and then suddenly doing like a record with Robin Williamson from the Incredible String Band. You know, like I did 2 records with him. Did one with Bar Phillips and Robin Williams. No, 3 records with him. I did one with him with Ches Smith. You know, like the really? Okay, yeah, because they had this kind of insight. Let's try this and let's try that, which is very wonderful. But one thing about checking out the order, my father and I and Bar Phillips did this recording in his chapel when he was living in Saint-Philomaine. And it was like about 40 tracks, all this material. Like I just sent it all to Steve Lake. And my father picked out some stuff, Bar picked out some stuff, and then I said, no, it's going to be these 10 songs in this order. And then I wrote to Steve and said, tell me what you think. And he said the exact same thing, with just one switch in the order, though, but the exact same 10 tracks. Over the years, we've really developed like a kind of a close ear.
Great minds think alike. Like
that's an ideal producer musician relation to when you feel the same. So I just sent a few days ago an email to Guido. And I said, we're really happy, because he said, you know, looking forward to the release. And I said, yes, we're really happy and we're pretty excited about the tours and all of that. And I'm also very happy because I think that this duo is in the right place with ECM. It's the home for the right reasons, because it makes sense musically. With this, I really hear it's there, and I'm really happy it's with you guys. You know,
and it's a timing that makes a lot of sense too. You know, we're post our own pandemic, we're post our own like lockdown time, and just reconnecting with what it means to be not being able to communicate with each other as much as we would like to, find other ways to communicate. I mean, obviously 2020 means Zoom and FaceTime, but it's another way to look at new tradition to communicate, new ways to remember the music that connects all of us.
Absolutely.
And I think you're doing a very important work culturally. You know, it's also like, it makes a lot of sense that it's on ECM, it makes a lot of sense that it's released in 2024 or whatever, but there's also something where it's just like perpetuating the love of music, the importance of human connections, stories, prayers, and even though today we can travel easier, we can communicate easier, at the end of the day, it's the same message. It's just like, let's get together, sit in circle, or whatever, and just play music together. And thank you for, you know, repeating this tradition, because it's very important for humanity. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's really nice that we're doing this in the United States. So it's not only in Europe.
Not only in
Europe. You know, the fact that we live here and we tour here, and we're going to tour. Aside from this tour, there's another tour that we in the States for spring we're working on. So I think that's very nice, you know, about it. I mean,
I just want to thank Lucian, because Lucian did so much research for this project, and I learned so much. And the fact that Eileen and Timișoara helped us to get this whole thing going, and you know, but the amount of work Lucian put into just really
you're right.
Deep, you know, and Eileen from
we have to mention them, because they're actually in the press release. So. This was part of a larger project called Retracing Bartók. So we're retracing his research and his trips in Transylvania, and these folks at Jazz Updates, that Aline and all this, through all these 4 or 5 years, we started in 2018. You know, they brought us a Bosendorfer there. That's why it sounds so great. Well, the first one we recorded in a Baroque museum, then we recorded in the CAJT hall, which is another amazing hall. So we were blessed to have this organization in the capital of culture, and you know, the funding was in place to be able to do it, you know, with a residency. Each time we did it, we stayed there for 5 to 10 days, and we were able to work on these songs. So I think that's how you should develop a project, you know. So you have a little time to workshop it, to spend time with it, and
you know, just being there. There's a palpable feeling of being there. And
played
one of the
those
concerts we did, I'll never forget.
The
the grandmother or the mother of one of the people said, I knew one of those songs. My grandmother used to sing it to me, and she was almost in tears.
That's
that
amazing.
song.
That's why you do this.
Yeah, that was amazing when you told me. I said, because these songs, they don't exist anymore. Meaning, we don't play them in Romania. It's not like a song that you know. They disappeared. And yet one of them recognized it.
Yeah, she said, my grandmother used to sing this to me.
The nature of folklore is to change.
Which really hit me. Yeah.
I never knew these songs. I mean, I'm going through all of the songs that I've heard from the Wax Cylinders. I never knew one of them.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating though. And that was my initial question. It's just that the circle goes back around.
No,
it's just,
I never knew any of them. And yet one person discovered. So it tells you how folklore changes, and the fact that we have them today. We can go and listen.
Yeah.
I find it extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. And it's a privilege to do.
Lucian Ben and Maneri about their new album on ECM Records, Transylvanian Dance. Thank you for joining, choosing, and listening to our ECM podcast. I'm Caroline Fontanieu, and I look forward to sharing more music with you in the next episode.